Hey everybody, this is Steve Raboyne, and I'm here with the Crazy Creative Podcast. I have a guest with me. His name is Kevin Doyle. He is a professional strength and conditioning coach here in Hartford. He coaches Trinity College, and he also owns his own fitness facility, CrossFit Hartford. He's my coach, and he has an interesting story, and he runs his own business, and I kind of wanted to get him in here to kind of pick his brain and see how he got it going and it became successful. And what's up, Kevin?
What's up, Steve?
Here we are.
We're here.
Yeah, finally we got you in. So you are a strength and conditioning coach.
I am.
But you kind of have an interesting background.
I do.
Yeah. Can you describe that a little bit?
I can.
Do your best.
Where would you like me to start?
Wherever. Like, how did you get into strength and conditioning as a passion, and then ultimately as your profession and your own business focus?
So my passion for strength and conditioning comes from a unique experience in my life. I mean, everybody's experiences are unique to them, right? I was always smaller and young in school.
Okay.
When I was growing up living in Massachusetts, my birthday was after the cutoff date. But because I had moved from Connecticut to Massachusetts, I was supposed to be going into like first grade before Massachusetts would let me. So anyway, I was always a year young. So for example, when I was in high school, I graduated high school, I was 17 years old. So when I played my senior year of high school football, I was 16 years old.
Right.
Which is young for a high school senior.
Yeah, 16 to 18.
Yeah, most high school seniors now are 18 years old in the fall of their senior year. So I always had issues because, when I was 13 years old as a freshman, I had to play with 14, 15-year-olds.
Okay.
And so on and so on and so on. So I was always seen as small, scrawny. I attended a football camp between my freshman and sophomore year at Dartmouth College, and we get these evaluation forms, and the coach said one thing to me. He said, "You're tough, you're smart, you're too small, you're too weak." And then it said, "Go lift weights." That's what it said at the bottom, "Go lift weights." And I had in my mind my whole childhood growing up that I was going to be something special when it came to football. My father played football, and I just, in my heart and mind growing up, I had decided that was something I was going to do.
I think everybody had that dream.
Yeah.
Me and my brothers, we had that dream. We were going to be like the next Emmitt Smith, and we used to run drills in the backyard. We wanted to be pro football players too, man. And we were super tiny, probably smaller than you were.
It's not easy. But, I was never good at any sport. I just wasn't. I wasn't good at sports when I was young. I was bad at soccer. I was worse at baseball. I thought I was good at riding my bike, but the best thing I did with my bike was crash it consistently. And I was actually a decent hockey player, amazingly enough, but it just wasn't something that I was passionate about. So anyway, my dad's a tough guy, and at a time in my life where I needed discipline and structure and someone to drive me, he did that. So majority of my high school career, I spent waking up at about 5 a.m., and my father would make me run. For those of you who know West Hartford, he'd make me run from our house, which is basically on the corner of West Boulevard and Prospect, to Elizabeth Park and back.
Wow.
As fast as I could.
Okay.
And when that got to the point where it was about like a 25-minute run for me, he started making me run to the other side of Elizabeth Park, where the Rose Garden is.
Gotcha, yeah.
And that's when he started riding his bike on those trips. And
at least he didn't chase you with his car or something crazy like that.
No, but there were a couple times he would chase me. Don't get me on his bike, don't get me wrong. And so at a young age, I learned that if you wanted to be good at something, there was a way to do it, and you had to work really hard.
It's funny because I think I got the same sort of tough upbringing from my dad. I remember, me and my brothers were 6 and 8, and we'd be in the basement. He'd be splitting wood, and he'd bring like a whole wheelbarrow full and just chuck it down the steps, and we'd have to stack it. And then he'd come down and check on us, and if it wasn't stacked perfect, he'd be like, "Tear it down, do it again,
do it again,
Yep,
do it right."
Yep.
And my dad, I actually didn't live with my dad growing up.
Okay.
I actually lived with my mother, and going into 8th grade, between the summer between 7th and 8th grade, I was sent to live with my father, with my sister, for a number of different things. My mother's actually somebody that has some mental health issues.
Okay.
And for better for my sister and myself that at that time I was getting in a lot of trouble at school, and there was some things that weren't going well for me in particular. So when we went to live with my dad, it was, we gotta straighten this kid out.
Gotcha.
To some extent, and it was good. I mean,
so they got you into the weights and stuff then to get you out of trouble, or?
I mean, not right away. The interesting thing about when I first came to Hartford was I went to a Catholic school in Hartford called Cathedral Catholic.
Okay.
Now, coming from the Worcester suburbs in Massachusetts, I was used to a certain demographic of people, and my father said to me one day, we went to walk our dog, and he said, "So I'm going to send you to this school." And I said, "Okay, that sounds great." And he said, "But there's something you should know." And I said, "What's that?" And he said, "Well, you're going to be the only white person in the school."
Okay.
And, the testament to my father and the way that he raised me in terms of, things like that mattering or not, I said, so what? Great. Okay.
Right.
And he said, "Well, you're going to have some challenges there." And I was too immature to understand what any of that meant. And the truth is, that experience toughened me up more than almost anything any parent could ever do.
Really?
And it was challenging. There were a lot of fights.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of, there was some bullying. Because when I first got there, I thought I was tough enough to handle difficult things, and then I wasn't. And through that process, I got toughened up. I got toughened up by, young men my age who, it's just the way, the natural way things work.
Right.
I was different. I was from a different place. I had a funny accent because I didn't say my R's.
Gotcha.
I had long hair because I played hockey and rode a skateboard, and that was not the culture.
Gotcha.
Of the time. So.
Really.
And it was unique. It was unique to say the least. And it was actually a funny story. I'm not going to say the person's name, but one of the young men that used to bully me, actually, a number of years later, it was about 2 or 3 years ago, my family and I were sitting around having Christmas dinner when the news came on, and one of the young men who tried to bully me and who got expelled from the high school we went to together actually popped up on the news. He's arrested for murdering his girlfriend.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, no, it was like bad. It was bad.
Wow.
He did some really bad stuff. But funny thing about that is, my first day of high school at Northwest Catholic, I was suspended from school for fighting.
Ugh.
So I was the very first student in the history of the Northwest Catholic school to be suspended on the very first day from school for fighting.
Good for you.
Yeah.
That's a good. Does that record stand? Wait, are you the only? Do you think anybody else is?
I believe that one other person has been suspended
Really?
on their very first day of school.
Wow. That's a good title to have, man.
Yeah,
you should
great.
put that on your resume.
It's actually, and it's funny because whenever I went back and worked at the school after I graduated, and it was always a legendary story. It was like almost every day I walked in, it was like, "Oh, Mr. Doyle's here." And there were a few administrators who were at the school working at the time when I first started who loved to remind me of that. But there were a few kids who changed schools with me, and they thought that I was going to, sort of allow them to do some of the negative things that occurred before, and I just said, for 4 years I'm good.
Yeah,
and that was that. But it was a good life lesson. And then That's when my dad actually started making me work, was after that day.
Oh, yeah?
Because that day I went home and my dad handed me a rake and he said, rake the yard. And I said, there's no leaves.
It's funny because what you're talking about is like, I wonder if like kids, like, I don't think kids nowadays even get an experience like that. Like that tough upbringing where like, you have a problem, you duke it out, you get in a little bit of trouble and that's it. Now it's like, kids get arrested, parents get sued. It just, I don't even think I can give my kid a rake to rake the yard at 14. You probably get the cops called on you. Your kid's outside by himself. What's going on here?
My father handed me the rake and I said, there's no leaves. And he said, that has nothing to do with whether or not you're going to rake the yard.
Oh, nice.
And
I like this guy.
It was like, that was after the, do you think you're tough?
Yeah.
Would you like to fight me? And
yeah.
No, I'm good. I'm not tough. I am scared. I'll rake the yard.
Yep.
But no, it was he knew that I needed to learn how to work hard. He knew that I needed discipline. He knew that I needed to learn how to do things that I didn't want to do. And
dude, that's gotta have paid off now as an adult. And you have to work hard.
No, I mean,
to live and
I think
be successful.
I mean,
it was tough in the beginning, I'm sure, and back then I'm sure you were, motherfucker. But
yeah,
I'm sure that's what made you who you are.
And no, in my mind, I was a victim.
Right.
I was a victim in my own mind, and then the truth was, I convinced myself that I was a victim of the world and the things around me until really I was in my early 20s. And, all that stuff paid off, really, because at some point, at least for me, there was a sort of a moment in time where you just sort of need to evaluate yourself and where your life is going, and you need to decide who it is you think you are, and then line that up to who you actually are.
Yeah.
And you have to really be willing to be honest with yourself.
Sure, yeah.
And that to me was something that my father was always very honest with me. My father taught me that integrity and honesty and telling the truth is the only way to be successful as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And I had some coaches in high school, particularly. He's a gentleman named Walter Stosey, who is for West Hartford people is a bit of a legend in his time, and he is about 5'3" and just as big around, and
I think it sounds like my dimensions.
He kind of talked like a pirate. I mean, he squawked. He didn't talk. He squawked.
One of those old school guys.
Oh,
like Mick from Rocky.
That was exactly who that human being was. And I mean, I've never loved or been as influenced by a man. Oh, that's not true. That'd be a lie. But he was the first person outside of my family who I loved and respected. Mm-hmm. And he made me want to be a good person. He made me want to make him happy by doing well for myself. He made me want to work hard and bring other people along that road with me to be successful for a larger goal.
Do you think that's important to find mentors and seek out mentors? Like, have you actively gone out to find mentors? Are these people just kind of popped up in your life along the way, you think?
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
A little bit of both. I mean, I have people who mentor me that don't even know that they do. There's people who, come into the gym every day who inspire me to want to be a better coach and provide a better facility or, coach them better. There's people who I've never met who mentor me and they don't even know. There's a gentleman by the name of Joe Ken. He's a strength coach of the Carolina Panthers, and he's had a career filled with success. And from the first moment I heard him talk, I was like, this guy's talking to me.
Is that the guy from Central?
Nope.
Okay. Wasn't there a guy from Central that went as a strength coach in the NFL?
I'm sure there is.
I think I just read that recently.
Sorry. No, I don't. One of the things that I'm bad at is knowing who's who.
Okay.
I tend to keep my head below the sand in that regard. You know, whether it's within the local CrossFit community or in the collegiate atmosphere, I tend really to just probably too much look intrinsically and try to find my own solutions as opposed to looking outward to see how other people handle things.
Gotcha.
And
I think that's part of being like self-motivated. I find that myself, even like there's probably a lot more things out there that I could go out and find.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm going to figure it out myself.
The truth is the thought and idea in my head of being unauthentic horrifies me.
Yep.
And it's something that
it's almost like self-defeating sometimes.
Yeah.
Because
no, totally.
I know exactly what you're...
Because, I mean, the truth is just because somebody has a good idea doesn't mean it's not a good idea. It's the way you digest and process that information and then implement it in your own intelligent, creative ways, the thing that makes you a special person. You know, if like Einstein ignored all the math and science that came before him, I mean, he'd be an idiot.
Right.
And that's the thing.
And it's funny because that's what... I talked to somebody and they said, working with mentors is great because it's like you can build upon years of knowledge and failures and experience and then leapfrog from there. Yep. Like somebody has already done the work for you and then you can kind of take it from there.
Yeah, don't make somebody else's mistakes for them again.
Right.
It's the worst thing in the world.
And it's funny because I have like kind of like this guy I've been seeing as like a career coach and I had the same issue. I was like, well, I don't know if I'm an expert. And he's like, okay, well, you're a designer. What else are you good at? You're a weightlifter, and you were a Marine.
Yep.
So you were a warrior, a weightlifter, and a designer. What are the three things that you know to be true in those three aspects of your life? And I, listed those out in like 3 bullets. He's like, if you can speak to anything you do, keeping those things in mind, you'll always be authentic. Yep. You'll never... As long as you stay true to yourself and true to your experience and true to who you are, like then nobody can touch you and question your authenticity. I try
to tell my coaches and certain athletes I work with, think of 5 things, 5 qualities as a human being that you will never compromise. Whatever those 5 things that you want to define yourself as, no matter what happens, no matter what's on the table, no matter where you are, successful, failure, it doesn't matter. Think of the 5 things that you want to define yourself as and never compromise. It's going to be a lot easier for you to know when to stand your ground. It's going to be a lot easier for you to know when to take a leap of faith. Mm-hmm. And you're going to know who you want to surround yourself with.
Right.
And it's understanding who you are. And once you understand who you are and you don't pretend to be anybody else and you let yourself be authentic.
Yep.
That's when sort of your real creative side starts to come about.
Definitely. And that's an awesome point. We got to take a break. All right. We'll come right back to it. Okay. All right. I know you've heard of CrossFit by now. CrossFit is the most efficient training program available. CrossFit Hartford has some of the best coaches and best programming in the central Connecticut area. So when you're ready to take your fitness to the next level, call us at 860-216-4785 and visit us at CrossFitHartford.com. Okay, so now we're back.
Round 2.
We left off, we were talking about basically being authentic, and you mentioned something actually very, something I feel is true too, that when you can find a place where you're authentic to yourself, that's when creative things can happen.
Yep.
And it's funny because, like I said, my coach was like, my career coach was like, be true to yourself, your mind, body, spirit. Like, what is true to you about being a designer, being a weightlifter, and being a Marine? Like, what makes you successful in those things? What do you need to be successful in those things? How do those things make you feel? Mm-hmm. And he helped me develop, like, in literally a second, what my authenticity is. And as soon as that happened, like, it's like all these weird things that were floating around in my head were like,
it's simple.
Like, super focused, and it's like I could see things so much more clearly.
Sorry.
It's cool. You good?
I had an itch.
But
it looked way more complicated than it was.
But it's interesting because, like, allegedly this is a show for creatives, but I think, working hard and striving for goals and accomplishing things, I think goes beyond creativity. I think it's applicable to any course of action, any industry that anyone would go into. Whether it's like you want to start your own restaurant or own a gym, I want to start my own design business. We all need to put in the work and find our voice and find, our best route to take.
It's like, I studied history and political science in college. And one of the things that always stood out to me, and one of the reasons I was so passionate about that in terms of my education, was the innovation that came from desperation.
Mm-hmm.
And the
desperate times call for desperate measures.
Yeah, and when people are pushed to their absolute maximum, and in like historical context, it's always when the scales tip in the other direction. They'll create something, they'll learn something, they'll push the human boundary to its limit, and out of that limit or out of that loss or desperate need to fill a void comes the new creative process.
Mm-hmm.
And the things that in terms for me, one of the things that really is sort of the backbone of my authenticity really is, at the end of the day, is that I'm just a really emotionally intense human being.
Mm-hmm.
And from the moment I started coaching, I ran around like my hair was on fire.
Okay.
Screaming, yelling, like people looking at me like, what is this guy's deal?
Coaching CrossFit or coaching
football?
Okay.
Football.
At high school?
When I compete as an athlete, I tend to be super emotional and intense also, and that's sort of my fuel in terms of motivation. And it's weird. It's really hard to describe where that comes from. I don't really know.
I'm like that, but then sometimes it can go bad real fast.
It goes bad.
Because I get super emotional, and then I just like, my brain shuts off. It's like I go instantly negative, and it's like I get emotional, and it's like, you can't do this, you suck, pack it in.
and that's
it's that internal mental struggle.
It is, and that's like specifically with weightlifting. It's one of the most difficult things to overcome, and with CrossFit too. It's not like other team sports, and that's why you see sort of the emergence, especially in CrossFit. It really is, in some ways, like team weightlifting, right? What can this group of people do together? And if you look at other team sports, one of the reasons that they create a great sort of foundation for the new age of the competitive fitness athlete is that they've got that teamwork thing down. How do you create situations where people with conflicting personalities can work well together?
Mm-hmm.
How do you manage a group of unique individuals who need to perform individual tasks? That's a baseball team if I ever heard it.
Yeah.
That's a football team or a basketball team in different ways, and you can draw from those sports to find out what works for CrossFit athletes. But going back to the point of authenticity, as a coach, it's my emotional attachment to the people who train at our gym, my emotional attachment to the gym itself, my emotional attachment to my coaches and like I said, athletes, is really the thing that at the end of the day is the thing that makes me authentic, that drives my creativity. And my passions there's lots of different ones. Some of it is being creative and keeping the programming fun and inventive and things like that. And other parts of it is, how do you make the gym an individual experience? How do you make the gym represent you? What's the environment at the gym? And it just that's where authenticity.
Right. You want to set it up the way you want because it's your place.
Right.
And you want to coach how you
want it to represent you.
Right.
It's tough, especially now. Especially, we have all these other projects that we work on, and I don't spend a lot of time in the classes. I don't spend a lot of time working with each individual member. I tend to spend a lot of my time in administering the program and the business, and then what happens at Trinity College. And we run another program for the town of Cromwell called Healthy Body, Healthy Minds, where we work in the phys ed curriculum there. We help them write their curriculum.
Oh, that's awesome.
And we work with the kids. Right now we're doing K through 8. So we work with all the kids across the spectrum of K through 8 for the town of Cromwell, and we teach CrossFit to kids.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's
How did you get the town to buy in on that?
So there's a woman, her name is Dr. Paula Talty. She is the superintendent of Cromwell Public Schools, and she was sort of sent to me by a friend for some personal training, and she had been through a myriad of different coaches and trainers who, and doctors who, told her this thing or that thing and this thing and that thing, and they were all full of shit because none of them knew what they were talking about.
Okay.
And I taught her how to squat, deadlift, and press weights over her head. Mm-hmm. And,
it worked.
Oh, a miracle occurred, right?
Right.
She became physically strong and healthy and had no issues. And this was a person who, I hope Paula doesn't mind me talking about. I don't think she would. She'd probably like to be a guest on your podcast.
Oh, yeah?
By the way. She's
a superintendent?
Superintendent of Cromwell.
I don't know.
She'd do it.
She's part of like a teachers union or something like that.
No,
Maybe
she's not. She's the person the teachers union are against.
I don't know how that works.
She's the person that people from the teachers union show up at the meetings to harass.
All I know is like I have a buddy who's a teacher, and I was trying to get him on, and he was like, "I can't do it, man, because like, dude, teachers are scrutinized worse than politicians."
They
man.
are, and Paula would probably be very political, but she is she's an honest person, and one day she looked at me and she said, "Women like everybody should be doing this stuff," and I said, "Yep,
yeah,
pretty much."
So you mentioned that you went to school for history and poli-sci.
Political science, baby.
So how did the transition from that?
I wanted to operate in fields only occupied by theoretical knowledge. Nothing real. Everything could be debated and argued about because I didn't want to be responsible for like real answers.
Okay, so you're going to be one of those like rhetoric, like bullshit.
I'm really good at
philosophy weirdos.
Philosophy is
get out of here with that bullshit.
Philosophy is literally my favorite subject.
I'm taking an ethics course right now, and I'm just like, I don't have time for this bullshit. I have things to do.
I have plenty of time.
I'm not here to argue. I just want to get out of this. Let's go.
I'm so ready for it. No, I love that stuff. I really
just hate it. I'm like, dude, can we just move along?
No, it's the existential quest for defining who we are as men, right? I mean, that's the thing. It's the human brain everywhere, every nook and cranny of our daily life. Whether it's how should we think, how should we learn, how should we train. I mean, it doesn't matter. There's always a quest for a deeper understanding of the knowledge and how it works, right? The process by which we come to our conclusions. I don't know. I
think my animal mind is like, keep me busy with this work here and lifting weights because I don't want to get involved in that.
I want to max my deadlift and argue with a priest. That's like the perfect day for me. That is the perfect day for me.
Argue the meaning of life.
Yeah.
And max out my body's capacity.
That's it. That's literally
awesome.
That's a beautiful day for
cool.
me. That's how I like to roll.
That's funny. So yeah, like how did you get into strength and conditioning from history and poli-sci? How did you make that leap? I
was, so like I was saying earlier, I was not the best athlete, and I had to spend a lot of time lifting weights. Mm-hmm. I met a young man early on in college. Sorry, I just killed him. Mosquito.
Oh, okay, thank you. It probably was going to bite me later.
It was looking at you, ravenous. And I met a friend my freshman year of college. His name was Chris Parisi. He's actually a football coach and strength coach down at Amity High School in Connecticut.
Okay.
He's a special person. He has done some amazing things that I didn't think were humanly possible, good and bad. But
I might have to.
I'm sorry. I'm telling this story. Chris, I'm sorry. I'm telling this story.
No.
I saw him funnel 14 and a half beers at once.
Oh, God.
Unbroken.
Oh, man.
The ramifications were not good.
I imagine.
But he kept it down. and his just behavior for the rest of the evening was questionable.
Yeah.
But that was it. Let's just say there were several dormitories on campus that weren't allowed back into their dormitories until the fire alarms were reset, and some other things. But whatever place this has here, I don't know. But
it's probably going to
people
cut
should
out.
people should know about Chris. He's an animal of a human being, and I love him. But I was into weightlifting, and I was into training, and I had some issues with some injuries. And that was starting to interfere with my ability to play sports in college. And I mean, he was into powerlifting and competitive powerlifting, and I sort of followed him around because he seemed to know what he was talking about, and I learned a lot about it. And I watched him compete in a powerlifting competition, and I said, well, I could do that.
Cool.
And so I started training with him, and it just sparked a sort of a thirst for knowledge that I didn't even know I had. I mean, I used to walk around when I was in high school with like the muscle magazines, just like any kid.
Yep.
And, you know, it's like you see these pictures, and so I used to tell my dad, like, I need creatine, Dad.
Yeah.
I fucking need it, dude.
Celtic.
And he would be like,
remember that?
no,
That's
it's
like the shit.
steroids. And I'm like, it's baby powder. Like, it's not steroids. And, you know, if you could have overdosed on creatine, I think I did it. I'm not going to tell the story how I think I know I did.
Man.
We'll tell it off mic. But it was a unique experience. But, you know, I was one of those kids. It was like I was small. I was weak. I did everything I could. The funny thing is, my first job ever, my dad used to take me to the gym with him when he would train. And he would tell me, like, go work out and do stuff. And then when I was, like, 15 years old, he was like, you live in my house. You're getting a job and giving me your paychecks. And he made me get a job at what was the JCC on Bloomfield Avenue.
Okay.
And my very first job ever in my life was at a gym.
Oh, cool.
And I used to wash and fold towels and put weights back on the rack. And
Oh, that's funny.
and that was it. That's literally where my fitness career started. My very first.
That's funny.
My very first legal job where someone had my social security number and took taxes out of my pay was at a gym.
That's funny. And then you know, eventually along the line, you went to Northwest Catholic to coach football and to train. So then, how did you get to Trinity?
The Trinity thing actually comes from the Northwest Catholic experience. There's a man I met while working at Northwest Catholic. His name was Bob Mastriani, and he is there's really almost no way to quantify what he is. It's sort of strange. I could call him...
Like Dr. Manhattan?
Yeah, I mean, we call him Voodoo Bob.
Oh, is that the...
He's an osteopath.
Is that the guy that Rick talks about, Voodoo
Rick
Bob?
talks
oh,
about
no
Voodoo
kidding.
Bob.
Okay.
He's a celebrity, like...
I've heard the name Voodoo Bob, but I have not met this individual.
There's no way to explain Voodoo Bob. I mean, like, even when you meet him, like, the first thing you'll realize the moment you're done your first encounter with Voodoo Bob is that there's no way you could ever explain that person to another human being.
Oh,
You would just say, there's no way. He'll never do it. He'll never do. He would just look at you and go, yep. Mm-hmm. I don't know. He's amazing. I mean, Bob has his doctorate in sports medicine from Yale. I mean, this is a guy who did that, left Yale, went to work and said, I don't know nearly enough of what is actually required to help people, and has made his life a mission of finding out what really works and what doesn't.
Okay.
And he's one of the people who's a huge mentor to me and doesn't even know.
Okay.
And regardless, through a series of events, I met Bob, and Bob was close with some people I worked with at Northwest, and through our sort of experiences together there, we met each other, and with unbeknownst to me, Trinity College contacted Bob to come in and evaluate the process that they were utilizing to train, treat, and handle their athletes in terms of strength and conditioning and training room. And it was like the PT, like kid sprains his ankle, how long is, are they fixing his ankle, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
Just, just someone to come in and look at it and consult it and take a look at it. And Bob walked in, looked around, and he said, the place you got to start is here, and the person you got to start with is this kid. And they called me.
Wow.
And said, your name was given to us. We'd like you to have you come in and talk to us about who you are and what you do. And I said, what are we talking about? And they said, we want you to come in and talk about possibly being a strength and conditioning coach here. I said, all right, I'll do it. And, the funny thing about that was about a year before that, my wife asked me, she said, what's your dream job? If you could pick something as your dream job, what would it be? And I said, I'd be a collegiate strength and conditioning coach, and, it was exactly a year later, the phone rang, and there I was. I was in the job less than a year after I said it.
You see, folks, the secret, it works.
It's the secret.
It's where you there's something you want, you just put it out into the universe, shit happens. It's called the law of attraction. You start, you say you want to be a collegiate athletic coach, but I'm sure you said it out loud, you thought about it, and you possibly did some things that would have led you on that path. It's like the law of attraction.
I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. I'm trying to string this series of events in my head.
Yeah, it's you think of something and you want it bad enough, and if you can put it on paper and say it out loud, I think it could actually happen.
The thing that I did was I never told somebody I could do something that I couldn't do. And if somebody asked me if I could do something and I didn't know if I could, I would say, I don't know, but I'll try. And I think it's just being honest about that. And, not knowing an answer is something that's always pissed me off. I tend to be sort of arrogant about the things that I know because I worked really hard to find out everything that I know.
Right.
And when I don't know an answer, it bothers me. If I go to bed at night, I won't be able to sleep. If somebody had something and I can't figure out how to help an athlete or answer a question or communicate with someone in a way that really affects positive change towards them succeeding their goals, it bothers me. It eats at me.
Yeah, because nobody wants to feel stupid or inadequate.
No.
Yeah, it's the worst.
No, one of the things that's unique about being a coach is that you're sort of responsible for other people's success. And therein lies, right? If you give a shit as a coach, your goal in life is to fulfill other people's goals.
Right. Break again. All right.
If you are a designer or want to become a designer, check out the Hartford Adobe User Group. The group meets once a month to discuss Adobe products like Photoshop, Dreamweaver, Flash, Illustrator, and Business Catalyst. Our meetups are a great way to network with like-minded creative professionals to learn more about design and development. All levels are welcome. If you want to learn more about the meetups, visit www.meetup.com/Hartford Adobe.
All right. So we're back, and we were talking about how, it kind of bothers you to, when you're faced with a situation where you don't know the answer to something or you have a tough time figuring it out, you're working with athletes or clients, and, and I think that's true for anything, even when I'm at work and somebody asks me a question about something and I can't come up with an answer immediately, I know that I'm it makes you stop and question your entire existence.
Yep.
Oh shit. I picked the wrong career. I want to pack it up and leave.
There's this, there's a coach called Dan John.
Yeah. I've heard the name, yeah.
And I listened to Dan John speak once. And he's one of these people, if you spend an hour in a room with him, you're going to walk out looking at the world a little different. At least as a strength and conditioning coach.
Okay.
And the thing that he said that most affected me was he drew a pie chart on a dry erase board. And he said, here is all of the knowledge ever compiled And here's all of the knowledge ever imaginable in the universe in regards to human kinetics and strength and conditioning, right? Human performance. And he drew a little sliver, and it was like 15%. And he said, this is what I know. And then he took out like another 10 to 20% of the graph, and he said, this is what I know that I don't know. And I said, okay. And then there's the rest of the chart, and he said, and this is what I don't even know that I don't know, and this is the thing that scares me.
Right.
And it's those answers, the things that we don't even know that we don't know, right? The what ifs.
Like you don't even know to ask the question.
You don't even know to ask the question.
Right.
And right there, ready? This is why I fucking love CrossFit. Because all of the rules, everything everybody knows about sets and reps and performance and training and periodization, like they just went like, so what? Like,
right. How many years I spent doing like fucking pyramids?
Yeah.
Like 12, 10, 9, 7, 3, 1. Forever. Dude, reading Jay Cutler magazine.
That's it.
Oh.
But, I mean, the one thing they had was, like, HGH and mad extra tests.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm like, dude, why am I just
They
fat?
could have watched someone lift weights and
Eat
got
this and you
huge.
look like Jay Cutler. I'm like, I'm eating that and I look like a big fat kid.
And that's what, like, CrossFit said. CrossFit said, every single person that owns a gym, go find your own answers for the people that you work with. Go see what works. Go see what makes the people you train successful.
Yeah.
Regardless of the rules. Teach them how to do things well. Teach them how to do it safely. And then, like, let's explore this thing. And anybody that has the better idea, let's put their idea against our idea and then have a race.
Yep.
And everybody that wants to say whatever they want to see, nobody else is lining up to get in that race. Nobody. And that's where, like, the authenticity is undeniable.
Yeah.
There's no, you know what? There's no peer-reviewed bullshit here.
Right.
There's a fucking clock, a bar,
It's like pure evidence. Like,
and a timer,
Right.
and a judge, and that's it. You know, and it to me, it's so simple and transparent and open that, I mean, what is there to do except jump in the pool and start swimming and race your ass off and try to come up with original ideas and try to mix things together to come up with new creative blends of what you think will push the boundaries of human performance to a level that maybe someone else is not doing.
It's funny. The thing about CrossFit is, like, it has inspired me in so many different levels. Not even, you know, the as a training methodology, I think it's great. It's like super efficient. You know what I mean? Like you can stay in really good shape very, you know, like by training very quickly in like you don't, I'm not saying this correctly, but the return on time invested is far greater than any other training program I've ever done. And I've been training in some fashion since I was like 17, and I have not received the type of results that I get now doing CrossFit. But also, I am inspired based on their business model. Like, just the way they were set up, like that, you know, the open source, sending out that free knowledge, and then, you know,
It has integrity.
It has integrity, but like then you have like the certifications. It's all like a digital format. Like it's so different. There's no real corporate structure like a normal business. If you like went to Harvard Business School and probably presented that, they'd be like, this doesn't make any sense.
I mean, right? Like the fundamental idea that it's community driven.
And exactly, and then you see like look at all the cool
in the corporate era. I mean, talk about authentic.
Yeah,
talk about a grassroots movement.
Yeah, and that's what inspires me too. Because look at all the coolest shit that's coming as a result of CrossFit. There's a lot of cool stuff that has popped up as it's popped up, and like that type of stuff has inspired me to do my own thing. Like when you see like normal people who like left their awesome like 6-figure jobs to open a box, and then that box explodes and they're super successful, and I'm like, it changes the way I think. Like it has directly affected what I am doing now. Has come from witnessing other people do what they do through CrossFit. I know I'm not like a
no. I mean you're right. I mean, so six weeks before I became a full-time coach, and that was my life. I had a corporate job. I was working at UPS. I was a regional logistics manager. I told what trucks to go where with all these packages when, and I was the quintessential I was on the corporate fast track. I was promoted 5 times in 3.5 years. I went from shift supervisor to regional logistics manager, and I was going to different locations to train other facilities. I was teaching people at other companies about how to manage their logistics.
Yep.
And to me, it wasn't complicated. It's fucking math, right? It's like, you need this to be here at this time. Well, what are your resources? Let's do a little math and get it there.
Yep.
To me, it wasn't complicated. But anyway, I was offered the job, and it was a grueling lifestyle that just was not ever going to make me happy, no matter how much money it gave me.
Because that stuff never stops, huh?
No.
The boxes never quit, man.
They never stop. You can't imagine how much money they make off of your boxes. You have no idea. Millions of dollars. But that's real. Every Yankee Candle in every Yankee Candle store is shipped by UPS, and they charge Yankee Candle top dollar for every candle that goes through those trucks. They have their own insurance that covers the stuff that they smash that you own. Now, it's bizarre.
Yeah.
There's so much money in that stuff. Like, you can't even imagine.
Yeah.
So,
but you had the balls to say, I'm not doing it.
I was there. So, the funny thing was I was like the problem child. I couldn't be told what to do. I wouldn't follow the rules.
That's funny that you did so well in that corporate world, because, dude, that shit don't fly in the corporate world. Like, dude, you're a rock star? Nope. You got to be the vanilla guy. And
they would say, like, go, you're the man, you got to cut that shit out, bro. And then I would revolt. Like, my boss would say, well, if you're going to say no to that, then you might as well walk out. And I would, like, throw my stuff on the ground and start walking out the door. He'd be like, where are you going? I'd be like, you got my 2 weeks, I'm out. And then he would, like, follow me in my car and be like, you can't leave, you got work to do. And I'm like, bro, what are you doing?
Is that an ultimatum?
Is that a motivation?
I called your bluff.
No, but that was the thing, is like, I was a bit of a loose cannon, but I also set, it was true, but I also set district-wide production records for, I think, 8 quarters straight.
Okay.
And that's talking about a district that's existed for over 70 years.
Wow.
And, like, no one could touch me.
Right,
it just is. We're talking about moving boxes from place to place. I was the only boss in the building walking in with Red Bulls and rock stars for his employees every day. We got a job to do. You want me to do this? Well, okay, you got to invest in your success.
Sure, yeah.
Take
care of the people that take care of you.
If you're not going to buy, like, donuts for the people, moving boxes for you once a week, then what are you doing?
That's what I think a lot of people don't get. Like, I don't know. I've run into a whole bunch of different types of, like, manager styles, like, in the military and, like, in my career so far, and it's like... I've maybe had a couple that were awesome, cool dudes that I would do anything for, but the majority of people don't even know how to, like, use that power to their advantage, to, like, inspire people to do well. They a lot of times they use that authority to kind of fuck with people, and you're like, you know what, man, the first chance I get, I'm out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's not how you become successful and inspire people.
No, if you're going to be a leader, whatever it is you do, like, whether you're moving boxes or trying to make athletes champions, it needs to be a lifestyle of leadership. And I mean that. It's the most serious thing a person can say. Whether you're a soldier or a coach or like a retail manager at JCPenney, like, it doesn't matter. what matters is the fact that you're in a position to affect multiple people. Multiple people are in positions to affect you. And you're all working together for mutual success. And if you can't get your ego out of the way to do that, then you're not a leader. And
Right.
and you shouldn't be in that position.
You're a boss.
Yeah, you're a boss.
There's a difference between a boss and a leader.
That's true. I say it all the time. I hate having to act like a boss.
Mm-hmm.
I hate it because I know when it happens, and it turns my stomach.
Right.
Because I left UPS because I didn't want to be that. That's not who I am. You know,
Right.
it's like I used to come home and I would like have a drink with my dad and he'd be like, "How's work?" And I would just cry. And this is like I was an adult man. I was like 27 years old. My father would say, "How's work?" And I would cry. And he'd be like, "What happened?" And I would go, "I can't treat people like this."
Right, yeah. Being a hard dick really sucks, man. That's like the biggest reason I got out of the Marine Corps, dude. It was just like, I'm not a mean person. I don't want to be mean to people.
It's not. I'm not going to do that.
Right.
And that was one of the things that they hated about me is, so they used to do this thing. It's called OJSA. It means on the job supervised training, right? And what it means is you have like a checklist of like 5,000 things that are procedure that these people are supposed to know, right?
On the job supervising?
OJS, on the job suit.
So like micromanaging.
Oh, it's like...
Yeah. You need to micromanage the shit out of these people.
But the truth is, it is 100% legitimately like workplace harassment.
Really?
And you stand like over that person's shoulder with a clipboard and a checklist, and you go, "This, right? Like the mic shouldn't be that close. What's the volume on the mic? The mic shouldn't be that close. What's the volume on the mic?
Yeah.
What time is it?" And then you just do that to them, and then at the same time you critique their performance. Like, why are you slowing down? You should know this stuff. And what you do is you're like UPS isn't gonna like this, but the expectation is that you paperwork that person into one of two things: into filing a grievance, and then you suspend them until the grievance is finished, or you literally OJS them over and over and over again until they quit.
So like a problem child, this is what you would do too.
Oh yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
And they would just say stack the paperwork till they walk out the door.
Yeah.
And it's like
I know some people like that.
I used to just say, I have a job to do. I'm not doing this. I'm going to give them a Red Bull and a Snickers bar and a
Let me know when you crash and you need
and a
another.
Maxim magazine to
Right.
read at break time. And oh, by the way, I'm going to call break time for the whole building 5 minutes early because I know that he likes to take a piss at this time. And if I make sure that he's free to do that, he's going to work hard for me all day.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody else in the room is going to care whether or not we go on break at 6 or 6:03 or 6:05.
Right,
I'm
right.
going to do that because I'm going to keep him with me. And that's where, like, little things like that at UPS used to make all the difference in the world for people.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true, man. You must be a pretty smart dude, like to like work the in and outs and like kind of figure that type of stuff. Do you think like very like high level all the time? Like you're doing all the training for the entire gym, multiple clients, the university, Cromwell. So like, are you a mastermind? Is that your
Coach Durrett, who works with me, he's my right hand man. He likes to equate me to the Joker from The Dark Knight, And the truth is, right? If you think about the Joker from The Dark Knight, I mean, he did more to help Gotham than Batman did. I mean, the only difference was that he killed the people that Batman wouldn't. He burned the mob's money, who kept causing trouble that Batman couldn't get out of town. What did he say to Batman at the end? He said, "What'd you do to Harvey Dent?" He said, "I made him one of us." Right?
Yeah.
It's like, everybody was out for the same goal, right? At the end of the day, the question is, he just had a different methodology.
Right.
Batman wouldn't kill anybody. The Joker had no problem with that.
Right.
Yeah. And
I think I saw that post
Yeah,
recently.
That
Yeah,
was awesome. No, it blew my mind.
If Katie would let me watch comic book movies, I'd be more up on it. But I don't watch comic book movies that often anymore. Sad.
We should talk. I'll talk to Katie about that. But I mean, it's a mastermind. I would not quantify myself as a mastermind. I would say I'm a passionate person who's surrounded by capable people,
But you've worked hard to build that network of capable people. Obviously, like
it's weird, right?
You built up those people at UPS, and now you're building up your own staff.
I mean, there's some consistency there. I mean, the truth is I very rarely brag about myself, but I was talking to one of the coaches the other day, and he was like, "Wow, man, such and such, they did really good." And I said, "No one who works with me is a loser." And he looked at me and said, "What?" And I said, "Just no one who works with me loses. It's just the way it is. I'm not a loser. I'm not going to lose.
Yeah.
And people who work with me aren't going to lose. I'm not okay with that."
Yeah, right.
The question is, do you want to be the best in the world? I don't know about that. I never think about that kind of thing. I just know that I want things to be really good. Really, really, really good.
Well, why not? Why not hold yourself to a standard
That's
and
higher.
then hold people that work under you or with you to the same standard? I mean, you're doing... Okay, you have a staff.
Yeah.
You're doing them a disservice to, let them not raise up the bar. And just, it's awful that, everywhere in the world nowadays, it's like, well, everyone sucks. Let's just lower the standard.
Yeah, that kind of makes me sick.
Yeah, you know what I mean, though? But I think ultimately you're going to make for better people in the long run, because someday one of your staff members say, "Hey, this dude, Kevin Doyle, man, he pushed me like a motherfucker, but I know how to work hard. I'm a bad person for it." You know what I mean?
No, I mean, that's it, right? And CrossFit really, too, is a testament to that. It's like people are hungry for hard work and community. I mean, it's a paradigm shift.
It's funny because I feel like you go to work and it's like everyone is like trying to figure out a way to be as lazy as possible sometimes.
The average person spends 35 hours a week surfing the internet for personal reasons. 35 hours. 35
I don't
hours
doubt
a week.
it, man.
Do you know that's a full-time job?
Yeah, man.
If
That's
you do
crazy.
something for 35 hours out of obligation
You're
of employment,
time waster.
no, you get health benefits for that.
Oh,
legally.
God. All right. We got to break again, dude. That's hilarious. All right, we're back.
I always have like a little 2-second thing that I'm saying
Yeah?
when you start it.
Okay.
Just move on.
Very well. So let's get into CrossFit. So how did you get into CrossFit and decide you wanted to open up your own CrossFit gym?
I wanted to open my own CrossFit gym the moment I found out what CrossFit was.
Okay. When was this?
I was a desperate, lonely young man with nothing to do with my time or energy. So I got a job. I don't know how far back I should start this story. I started training mixed martial arts.
Okay.
The way I started training mixed martial arts was I took a job as a bouncer at a Polish nightclub that played European techno music.
Okay.
On the Berlin Turnpike on Saturday nights, because the unfortunate truth was I was involved in a dating relationship that I was so miserable in that I did anything I could not to be available to participate.
Okay.
So that we'll just end that there.
Gotcha. No more questions on that subject.
Yeah,
Continue.
It's gone now. And I met a couple young men there. One of them, his name was Rafael Quinones.
Okay.
He is the head black belt instructor at the Mixed Martial Arts School, which is, I also co-own that, and it's part of the CrossFit Hartford gym, and one of the things people can do there. If you want to learn how to fight, come on down, we'll teach you. And so I was working there one night, and there was a fight amongst several people, and one person, and this one person was about 5'4" and 140 pounds, and he literally systematically took the crowd of young men who wanted to fight him out one by one, in what can only be equated to what happens in movies or video games.
Okay.
Right? It's like one of those games where like you beat up one. Remember Double Dragon?
Yeah.
Where you like beat up one guy in one part of the screen, go to the other part of the screen, beat up the other guy.
Yeah, like Streets of Rage.
Yeah, Streets of Rage.
Yeah.
Perfect example. It was Streets of Rage. That's exactly
That was
what
my
it was.
favorite game.
It was the bomb. It was the bomb. And you could buy like the turbo controller and turn turbo on, and the dude would just hold his fist out, and you could walk around, and no one can touch you. But anyway, yeah, Streets of Rage. I love Streets of Rage. Especially like the giant guy on Royce who just suplex people in the street. Like, why would
crowbar? And you're
but
like
our parents let us play that.
whacking people.
Our parents let us play
Yeah.
that.
No big deal.
You know what's funny? My mother would let me play that and not watch Woody Woodpecker. Did you ever watch Woody Woodpecker?
Yeah.
Woody Woodpecker was a bad person.
Yeah, he was a rat bastard.
He was a bad person. Like he would like burn buildings
I think
down.
he was a bird.
And then
he
be
wasn't
like,
a person at all.
it was a bird person. A bird person. A person.
Gotcha.
He was a person. A Woody person.
Gotcha.
But
So
anyway.
you witnessed Rafael Quinones, right?
Quinones, yeah. Do his best Streets of Rage reenactment. And I was like, that's not fucking real. And one of the other...
Stage this?
Yeah, like, what? I was just like, yeah, go, man. Yeah, go. And the funny thing is people, when you're a bouncer, everybody wants to fight you when they're drunk.
Yeah, weird.
Because it's just like this weird, like...
fist-headed.
Yeah, like...
Too much testosterone. I've been turned down too many times tonight.
Right, or like, this is this weird thing. It happens to football players a lot, too, where it's like, people will walk in the room and be like, where's a football player? And it's like... Like, really?
Right.
You, like, are you that insecure, dude?
Mm-hmm.
Like, leave me alone. But anyway, one of the other bouncers was like, there's no way you could do that to me. Like, you're not that tough. And Raphael, so when the bar closed, right, we all were bouncers or nightclub. We had a few shots. We're laughing. Raphael goes, all right, I'll show you. And I mean, he mopped the floor with like this, like 6'1", 230-pound guy. Mm-hmm. And at that time, I was like, I was young, I was fit, I was strong. I had never lost a head-up street fight.
Okay.
And I had a few that I'm not proud of. Some I'm proud of, others I'm not. And he beat this guy up. He didn't beat him up, he just subdued him immediately.
Gotcha.
And I was like... You can't do that to me, you puny little person.
Mm-hmm.
I'll Hulk smash you. And literally less than 10 seconds after it started, almost both of my arms were broken. And I was screaming, stop, 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 stop.
Yeah.
He did something where he grabbed both of my arms and almost broke them at the same time. And the first thing that I said after I said, stop, 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 was he said, are you okay? And I said, take me where you learned that.
Right.
That's what I said. So he said, I know this guy at this place. I'll tell you when I'm going to go. Let's go. So I went there, and it was a jiu-jitsu school.
Okay.
And there was someone teaching, and he said, do you want to take class? I said, no, I'll watch. And I sat there for an hour, and I watched. And I didn't understand what I was looking at. And so I came back, and I took class. And they were teaching an arm bar. And he showed how to do an arm bar, which I won't get into. And I said, why don't you just arm bar anybody who tries to fight you? And he said, oh no, that's just not how it works. And I said, that doesn't make sense. You just said, if they do this, you do this, and then you win. Mm-hmm. So he said, okay, do it to me. And I did it, and he like crushed me and choked me, and I had no idea what had happened. I just said, immediately, teach me everything you know.
Right.
And that was like sort of the beginning of it, you know, and in a lot of ways, I guess sort of this moment I'm having like this cathartic connection with sort of what has become the way I view things and look at things now as an adult, with those moments where, you know, like when I was young, I used to think I knew a lot of shit.
Yep.
And
just like you said before, it's like with the whole Dan John, like here's what you know,
here's what you
here's
know,
what you know you don't know,
and here's
the
don't.
whole other world of shit
world.
you don't even know about.
Right.
Not even a blip on your radar.
And it
boom. There's a whole other world I want to get into.
And you know, it's like from that moment, you were just immediately humbled when you realize like there's small men who can kill big men without breaking a sweat.
Yeah, man. Those guys, I see those guys with like the pugged in noses and the cauliflower ear. I'm like, those are not the guys to mess with.
No,
ever.
They're not.
Ever.
They're not. And I sort of became fanatical about it because it's one of these things like I couldn't do it. And it drove me crazy that I didn't know how to do it. So I started doing it twice a day. And
I'm seeing some reoccurring themes in this entire conversation.
I don't like to lose.
I don't like not knowing things.
I don't like not knowing things.
Yeah.
And, you know, I became obsessed with it and I worked my ass off. And about a month after I started there, I met who was going to be my first of multiple business partners, Russell Leak, who is the other owner of Underdog Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with me. And he opened his own gym, and I followed Raphael and a few other people over there, and it was literally a space, and you know, you guys can't see it or hear the size of the room we're in, but I'm in probably like 800 square feet room. No, how many square feet is this room?
Oh, it's bigger than that. It's gotta be like 2,400. I bet.
This is not a 2,400 square foot room.
I don't know numbers.
So our first gym was literally this big, maybe smaller.
We're in a garage.
Yeah, and single car
yeah.
garage. So it was literally this big, and for about a year, I mean, we literally like beat the hell out of each other in that place. They found a couple of guys there. Mainly Russell found out that I was a strength and conditioning coach at a high school.
Okay.
And one day I did a workout at the gym, which now that I look back on it, intensely resembled Fight Gone Bad.
Okay.
But with different movements. And
when was this? What year was this?
God, it's 2009.
Okay.
2000 must have been 2008.
Okay.
Maybe late 2007, 2008. I don't really know. And Russell was watching me do the workout, and he said, "Hey, man, that's that CrossFit stuff." And I was like, "I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, bro. There's one way to train athletes, and there's the right way to do it and the wrong way to do it. This is serious. This is like know what I'm doing. This isn't some info." I literally was like, got pissed, and I was like, "This is some infomercial bullshit." And he's like, "Dude," he's like, "Just look at the website. Like, okay, you're mad. Go look at this." And he showed me the website. I went home and I was like, CrossFit, this is like some bullshit. Mm-hmm. And I like went on, you can go to like the lecture videos, and I like watched the first video, like, what is CrossFit? And I listened, like the moment Greg Glassman started talking, I was like a Muppet drooling on my desk.
The guy's a good, he's good at selling it, man.
He's got me. He's
like, wow, this makes sense.
He's the king. He's right. He's king right. But anyway, I literally called out of work for 2 days and sat at home and read about 5 years of blog posts, workouts, and listened to every lecture Greg Glassman had ever given on camera, read every article on the CrossFit Journal, watched every demo video, and I literally read 5 years of workouts of 3 on, 1 off, 3 on, 1 off.
Yeah.
And I just was like, this is just... So the thought that I had at the end of the first lecture I listened to from Glassman was, I am not alone. That was literally the first thing that came into my head, and it was a definitive thought in my head. I am not alone in what I believe. And the talent that Glassman has is that he has the ability to articulate his beliefs and methodologies and emotions simultaneously. Where, for me, like I'm an articulate guy. I can talk about things, but I have a hard time articulating my beliefs. I have a hard time articulating my methodology, and I have a hard time articulating my emotions all at once. And Glassman can do that. I mean, it's a natural gift. It's a talent he has, and he made me feel like I wasn't alone, and I immediately adopted the methodology and just said, "This is what everybody should be doing, and this is what I'm going to do." And I knew from that moment that whatever I did in regards to my training or as a coach was going to go in that direction.
And how long did it take before from that point till you had an affiliate?
I officially opened my affiliate in 2011.
Okay.
So a couple of years.
Yeah.
But I started, I didn't have the money to get my L1. I didn't have my money to open an affiliate. And I didn't have any of that. And if you look, if you go on my Facebook page and you look at the very first pictures ever posted on my Facebook page, there's some pictures from when we first opened a gym together. And Russell said to me, would you like to teach some strength and conditioning / CrossFit classes? And I'll do, we'll do
cool
MMA and BJJ. Cool, it was cool, split, man. It was, by the way, the very first CrossFit gym ever, Greg Glassman ran in the back corner of a jiu-jitsu academy.
Oh, yeah. Over in, Santa Cruz?
Yeah.
Right?
And because the gyms wouldn't let him be there. And the funny thing was as a high school strength and conditioning coach, I got a job at Bally's in West Hartford. Mm-hmm. And I was always teaching my clients power cleans and front squats and deadlifts. And I used to get reprimanded for it.
Oh, really?
Because I would be like, just drop the weights. Let's go.
No grunting.
No, I was training for powerlifting competitions.
Right.
These guys were bodybuilders doing max reps on the leg extension machines. Right. And I was just I'm not like you.
Right.
I want to pick this up and wrestle him. And
there's a difference between training for performance and training for aesthetics. There's definitely two complete different worlds.
But they're not exclusive. You can look sexy and train for function.
It's true.
CrossFitHartford.com. But you can.
It's so funny.
But it just was a marriage made, and I had a $500 tax refund that I got one year, and it happened when he said that to me, and we ended up getting a building, and we literally opened the gym with 2 squat racks, 2 bars. I think I had 500 pounds in irons.
Mm-hmm. It was stuff you had, right? It was your equipment.
And a friend of mine gave me a couple rusty 45s he wasn't using.
What year was that?
In 2009. That was 2009.
Oh, okay. I'm saying I bought all my gear in 2012, I believe. No, it was 2010, I believe.
In 2009, we opened the gym, and we had no money.
Mike, I probably had more equipment than your gym did. It's hilarious.
I'm looking around your room, and you have more equipment in here than I had when I opened the gym.
That's funny.
It was bad, but I made it work, and I taught a bunch of people.
Nobody knew about CrossFit.
I taught a bunch of people how to power lift. I taught a bunch of people how to clean and jerk and snatch, and we were training fighters. And there's actually a cool documentary out there about a fighter who I work with. His name is Matt Bissett. And I personally think he's the best person in his weight class, not in the UFC, but I'm not objective, so that's a different deal. And it was back in the day when I had no equipment, and he was banging, we had to put weight on him to fight this huge guy. Mm-hmm. And it was a really cathartic moment for him in his career. And there's some film of the old gym, and I was
where can you find that? Is that online?
It's on YouTube. Yeah, it's on YouTube. I'll share the link with you.
Okay. Yeah, give it to me and I'll put it when I post this. I'll put it in the link.
It's cool. Matt's an amazing guy. Just somebody
He's going to be on the show actually next month.
He's amazing.
I don't know much about him. I know he's a pro fighter, and I know he trains at your place.
He's a hero. He's my
he
hero.
he seems like a nice dude. He's always super nice. I asked him, and he was like, "Yeah, sure."
If there's anybody who's committed to their craft, it's him.
Cool.
There's not a human being in the world that I know works harder than him.
That's why the type of people want to get on here, man. You seem pretty committed.
Yeah.
So it's like seems like you had like kind of an interesting path in life. Do you think like strength and conditioning is like that? You found your calling with this. Like, do you feel like this is what you've been kind of meant to do?
Well, my comedy career wasn't what I always wanted it to be. No. I always knew from when I was young. Mostly because I was inspired by my father, that I wanted to do something where I helped other people, not like cross the street or like
fireman, policeman.
No, maybe I thought about. I actually was I took the fireman's test and I put my name in, but that was when I was young and I was just like wandering the earth, wondering where I was going to be. But I always knew that I wanted to do something where I helped other people do something positive. And my goal was originally to be a teacher. And then I said, I maybe want to go to law school. And then I didn't want to do that. And, I didn't really know what I wanted to do until I just happened to start coaching. And the moment I started coaching, there was literally nothing more natural. No one had to teach me how to do it. I mean, I learned things from coaches as I went, but there was never a moment of hesitation from me from the very first moment I started coaching my first sport. It just was easy and fun for me. And when I played sports, I used to take people under my wing and sort of coach them.
Mm-hmm.
It was like athletes coach other athletes when they're new.
Sure.
And as a coach now, when people do that, I'm like, you're not a coach. Don't coach other people. I yell at them.
Right.
But it's all done from a good place, And I knew as soon as I started coaching that I loved it. I was never more passionate about anything as much as I was about the success of the people I was working with.
Definitely. We're gonna break again. All right, so before we left, we were talking about coaching and that being your calling. I would say, like, you make an excellent coach. I know, working with you for the last almost a year now, that I've never received.
Has it been a year?
Almost. I came after regionals last year.
Really?
Yeah. And but the cues you give me, it's like I've never received cues from any other coach that like you say one word, it's like I got it instantly.
Less is more.
Not even without hesitation. Like I've had coaches, I'm like, what are you trying to tell me to do, man? Like,
by the way, I've like given a million shitty cues before I learned to give good cues.
Well, yeah, I mean,
and
that works.
Yeah, no, that's the reality of it, and it's like a lot of people have trouble being a coach because they can't simplify things, right? I mean, like if you categorically identify traits with people who are successful. What's one of the things you can say about them is that they take complex ideas and they simplify them and they convey them effectively to other people.
Right.
So whether we're talking about World War I or quantum physics or technology or metaphysics, I mean it's irrelevant. How can we efficiently take that idea and sort of digest it and then regurgitate it to another person in a way that person can now effectively use that information.
Right.
And to me, I mean, the best part about coaching is that you get to help people in more ways than one. You get to help people psychologically. You get to help people from an educational standpoint, you get to help people do things that they never would have been able to do otherwise. As long as someone is committed to success, I generally find that coaching is really easy.
Yeah. If somebody wants to learn, they'll learn.
Right.
Yeah. If somebody's resistant to it.
Or resistant to it, or they're not really there for the reason that they think they're there. I know when I played football, there were people on the football team who needed the team more than the team needed them. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that CrossFit provides, is that CrossFit creates a community atmosphere in which people get the physiological benefits of the training, but more importantly, what that person really gets from that experience is the socialization process and the interaction with people who can help them in a decision-making process.
I think that's what I liked about it too. I like definitely that social aspect. I mean, it's like, it's funny because I see this all the time lately. It's like you go to work and you live this fake existence all day long. You have to, you're like the fake you who's acting the way you're supposed to act, doing shit you don't want to do all day long. Like you basically live this awkward existence, and you have these awkward, unnatural relationships with other people that were like, you just have like built up frustrations and animosities because you can't ever just be like, you know what, dude, you're fucking pissing me off. Leave me the fuck alone today. You have to be like, okay. And you have to just swallow it and push it deep down inside your gut. But like, you can go to a place like CrossFit at the end of the day, smash some weights, high five some dude that like is a CEO at his own place, or a fucking doctor, or he's a goddamn surgeon, right. Or like the playing field is leveled. Everyone is like their natural self.
Everyone's their natural self,
and it's like, everyone's guards down. You can be yourself.
No, I mean,
like you can cheer for other people. People cheer for you. It's just like, I don't know. Just like there needs to be more of that.
Well, like the physicality of training, right? Whether it's martial arts, or whether it's weightlifting, or whether it's CrossFit, the physicality of it. Well, if you do it and you let yourself be pushed, you will eventually reveal like your true self to the people around you, or at least the people who are capable of identifying it. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I have been able to sort of do, one of the things that I can do that has taken years for me to really create the lens that allows me to see things in a certain light is, whether we're talking about like, how long is your femur in relationship to your torso? So how should you snatch? I mean, like that's one conversation, yep. Right? That lens for coaching develops through time and education and experience and thousands of reps and athletes. But there's also one where you sort of start to develop a lens where you start to see people for who they are from the moment you shake their hand. And you're exposed to so many people, and then you're exposed to that person again at the ultimate moment of vulnerability, the ultimate moment of confronting fears and emotions and challenges that they either want to take on or don't want to take on, or will do anything in the world to avoid. Mm-hmm. And you get to see people for who they really are. So there's like a general honesty that you learn to see in other people, that if you're, if you have an intelligent level of empathy for other people, and your goal is to understand them so that you can help them.
Right.
There's just this side to it that is almost like no other thing, and it happens in fighting too.
I was going to say, like, it kind of reminds me of, like, I know we're not doing any fighting in CrossFit, but like,
no,
it reminds me of like,
no, you are, and a lot of people,
but it's the same thing. Like, it's that like primal, like you're doing what your body was naturally made to do, and it's like for a brief minute, it's like you might as well be getting punched in the face, or
no,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
I actually think getting punched is much easier than CrossFit, and it's I've done them both, and for those of you who don't like to hear it because you're passionate about one or the other, I mean, I don't, whatever, deal with it. I'm the one making a living off of it, so the truth is, getting punched in the face is is easier, but both of them provide the same thing, is that for a brief moment, you get a reprieve from all of the sociological censorship that goes on your daily basis, where you are forced to exist within certain rules and parameters, and for a brief moment, whether you're training with gloves on or with a barbell on your back or whatever it is you're doing, you have to confront yourself internally. And I mean,
you're moving and reacting, and there's nothing else.
Here's what people don't understand. People really don't comprehend the level of nonverbal communication that goes on in the gym. And the one thing a coach learns to do when they're dealing with competitive athletes is read who's ready to go and who's not. And where I think a lot of CrossFit coaches would really fucking benefit was if they spent some time with some legitimate competitive athletes so that they could learn to read people.
Okay.
Because if you work with like high school athletes or college athletes, I mean, you know who wants the ball, you know who wants to train, you know who's willing to do whatever it is, no matter what that thing is, to win, to compete, to be successful, and you know who's scared. And
that's interesting.
Fear is like, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself, right? That's the damn truth. Because if you're thinking about how much something scares you, you are not thinking about what you need to do to succeed in
right.
that thing.
Yeah.
And you watch people do it over the smallest, simplest things. You watch people get anxiety about kettlebell swings. You watch people get anxiety about pull-ups. And it's contextualized because there's a social pressure to be good at those things within the gym, because there's people in the gym who do 1 million goddamn pull-ups, and it's like bizarre. And then there's people who can snatch 1 million pounds, and that's bizarre. And there's all these different scales of people that have these skill sets that are just inhuman. But
I think that kind of goes beyond the gym, though.
Yeah.
Like, that's like life in general. That's society. Like, people are scared all the time about everything. Like, am I going to make the right move? Should I not take that job? Should I take that job? Should I quit my job? Should I not take that job? Should I buy that car? Should I buy this thing? Should I? Every decision in their life is ruled by fear.
Do it all. Do it all. Fucking do it.
Yeah.
The one consistent mistake I made every day of my life before I started to be successful was not doing anything.
And that's the thing, like, even when I first started this, is I had to get over that first fear of being like, I'm going to sound ridiculous. And I was like, I could hear the voices of all the design teachers I've ever had, or the people I've worked for before me. And I can hear their voices saying, like, Steve, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Who the hell are you? Shut up.
Who are they?
Exactly. And I know I was making it up. Exactly.
You live in a perfectly controlled environment where no one's ever going to question anything you do, and you get to read someone else's shit and pretend you're a genius. Like, come on.
But you know what I mean? It's like, once you can get over that fear and do it, like, it's the same thing. If you can get over the fear
Remember when you used to talk about it in the gym? Hey, I'm thinking about... And what did I say?
Just do it.
Do it.
Go. Plunge. Here's the plunger.
Take the plunge.
Yeah.
Take the plunge. Because it's going to be shitty. You're going to step in shit. You're going to trip on your dick. I'm sorry.
I wish that was true, but...
No, but it's... but that's the truth, right? I mean, it's like you're gonna step on your own dick 1 million times and fall on your face. It's how you learn.
Yep.
And that's how other people learn. Right? It's like, you see all these fucking YouTube, like cinematic memes on Facebook about how Michael Jordan was cut from his basketball team, yet he's so successful, and he won 9,000 games with game-winning shots, but he remembers the 3 he missed. And it's like, yeah, because anybody who wants to do something is driven by their failure. And some people take their failure and they use that as an identity. And some people use that failure as an experience, and they derive an educational process from it. And they say, okay, that's where my mistake was. I'm just not going to do that again.
Right.
And I'm going to go that way. And that's where other people stop. And the truth is, Some people just are not motivated or brave enough to make the risks necessary to be successful as an individual. Now, that doesn't mean the people who don't take the steps or the people who do take the steps and fail are less people. It doesn't mean that. But it just means that, it's just, you have to, it takes a different kind of person, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. Because there's definitely the guy who wants to, like, settle and be taken care of, and I'm fine with that.
I'd rather live in a box than be told what to do.
It's funny because, like, I've been reading a lot of, like, listening to a lot of, like, like, success books and stuff. And, like,
Yeah.
I like the Kiyosaki Rich Dad Poor Dad. It was, like, the one I just finished.
Did you like that?
I did. I liked the bit about, like, stop trying to climb the ladder, try to own the ladder.
Own it.
Yeah. It's like, yes. I'd be in here, like, doing burpees and kettlebell swings and listening to it, like, yes, I get it.
I actually, like, I have a bit of a problem with the motivational success industry. I have a little bit of a beef with that. And I actually want to read that book, but that just made me think about something that I've been thinking about it. And like the whole self-help thing, right? Like the Zig Ziglar, the Tony Robbins things. It's like I've listened to some of that shit.
Sure.
Because there's times where I've been like dreading a negotiation or what's going to happen with this part of the business or that part of the business. And, I don't have a business degree. I teach people how to squat.
right.
And I have to go have a conversation with some guy who this is his job. And I have to be able to go blow for blow with this guy. And I have to be able to read his body language. I have to be able to think about what it is he's saying to me. I have to think about what it is he's trying to get from me while I have to try to... It's just this whole weird manipulation game that goes on in negotiations. That, by the way, is stupid. I think people should just fight, and whoever wins gets whatever they wrote on the paper.
That's so funny because Katie and I had a conversation once. Yeah, that's funny. It's funny because Katie and I always talk about, like, right? I always bring up, I wish sometimes civilization would collapse. Then I would probably be, like, higher on the mountain because it would be like, I'd be able to kick all the... you know what I mean?
We would be on the same team, Steve.
I'd be building a harem right now, not sitting in a cubicle.
I
like Genghis Khan.
My wife said to me, I love the show Vikings, and she said to me, "Why do you love this show? It's like nuts." And I'm like, "No, it's not. It's not crazy.
It's supposed to be."
I'm like, "I think it's great." And she goes, "Why?" I go, "It's so simple, right? Like." Whoever wins gets it. It's not complicated. And I just said, do you think that if I were alive then, I would own a gym or a castle? And she goes, you would own a castle, and you would have all of your ridiculous friends in the castle, and you would try to take other castles. And I'm like, exactly.
Right.
No, that was it. And the truth is,
would I be cleaning the bathrooms at my gym at 6 a.m, or would I be wielding a battle axe?
I'd wield the axe.
Yeah, baby.
I'd swing that sucker every day. And it's we should. This is a different episode.
Yeah, definitely.
Where we talk about like the tribal mentality of pseudo alpha males in modern Western society, but.
Dude, totally, because I've had conversations about that. So, but we can have
my dream.
We have part 2. We'll have. I'm gonna have to start a show of therapy sessions with like you.
No, I'm talking about my bad childhood. And how I want to take over the world.
all the people I know that are successful and doing their own thing, all are like had very similar upbringings. Had a very similar past. It's actually pretty funny.
I think people are fighters, right? People who are willing to.
If you can put up with some shit early on, man.
If you can put up with some shit early on, and you're on some level willing to exist without compromise, if you're a person who's willing to walk away from the table at any given time out of a matter of principle or personal identity and belief. then you're going to generally be more successful than other people. Because every time you compromise your identity or compromise your personal set of ideals because you're paid to do it at work, you're getting paid to censor yourself. You're getting paid to demean yourself, to become something that you're not.
And compound that over like decades. It's like you're an empty shell.
You're an empty shell. You're empty, and that's just something that I personally like. My father, without going into a big ramble because I know time's an issue. My father was like, my father marched in the civil rights movement. Mm-hmm. My father was a labor union guy, and like I grew up tearing the flower beds up of like guys trying to break unions, and like throwing rocks and yelling, and it was like fight against people who oppress people who are hardworking and have success, and that sort of shaped my view of the world, which by the way is a positive one, because minimum wage, right? What is minimum wage?
It's the least amount of money I'm willing to pay you.
Yeah. Because if I paid you less, it'd be against the law. Which means I don't like you at all. Yeah. But I mean, you need to be yourself, and you need to be authentic, and some people are going to resent you for that, and some people are going to want to bury you for that, and some people are going to want to, make other people. They're going to try to bring other people with them in that attempt to say this person is doing the wrong thing. This person,
but people love you for it too, though.
And right. So if we look at the ratio of love to hate, and
you want those people anyways. Fuck them if they don't love you. Take a walk. See ya.
Take a walk. Take a walk.
Kick rocks, man.
Kick rocks, man. That's it.
But dude, this is an awesome show. We're gonna have to do a round 2, I think.
I'm just sad I have to stop drinking beer.
I'm sorry. It's getting pretty late.
We didn't answer any of the questions on the list you sent me.
Hey man, those are for guidelines for you to think about yourself.
I was actually I had to ask other people some of the questions.
Really?
I had no idea what my best accomplishment was.
Well, what is it?
Everybody who I asked told me it was being a father. My son, my relationship with my son.
That'll be true in like 30 years, and my son like isn't like in prison or like wasn't like a drug dealer or something. Then I'll say like, yeah, he was my best accomplishment. It's still kind of early to tell.
I'd kind of be a little disappointed if he didn't have those experiences. No, I'm kidding.
All right, we're gonna take a break quick, and we'll come back with the plugs.
Just the plugs.
All right, buddy.
Plugs.
And everything.
The last thing I want to be is crazy Uncle Kevin. Like, I had a crazy uncle when I was a kid. I don't want to be that guy. Okay. But no, I love him. But okay, I'm down.
Yeah. So if
Steve, I'm down.
Me too, baby.
Let's go.
If people want to get find out more about CrossFit Hartford, where do they got to go?
CrossFitHartford.com.
Yeah.
If they Google CrossFit, and Hartford, CrossFitHartford.com is the first thing that comes up.
And if they want to do some fighting, that's
UnderdogBJJ.com.
Okay.
The link is also on the CrossFit Hartford website. But if you Google Mixed Martial Arts Hartford, Underdog BJJ website will come up.
And you're pretty active on the social medias, right?
Yes, we are. We have
somebody wants to like hit you up with some good coaching advice or anything. What do you want? Facebook, Twitter?
We're on Facebook, Instagram. I'm not the tweeter that I'd like to be.
Okay.
I tend to overinvest sometimes in social media, so I've been trying to actually pull away a little bit.
Gotcha.
But Facebook or Instagram are great ways. My at CrossFit Hartford at Instagram, or I also have SCon. No, it's Coach Doyle.
Coach Doyle.
Coach Doyle.
At Coach Doyle Instagram.
At Coach Doyle on Instagram. So if you're looking to get in touch with me, those are great. One, they're fun to watch. I post cool stuff. Or you go to our page on Facebook, CrossFit Hartford, the Facebook page, like it. And
check it out.
We post some rad stuff, and you get any information about our schedule and links to our website, and you can go there, check out our programming.
Yeah.
Stuff.
If you want to get super strong and have a lot of fun and meet some cool people, check out CrossFit Hartford. Definitely the best game in town.
We're trying.
Yeah, man.
We're trying.
All right, dude. Well, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. This is great.
Later, buddy.
Later.